Hi, this is Michael Ray. I'm the host of the Filmmakers 412 podcast. Today's guest is local writer and filmmaker Zane Allen. Zane's a great guy. I've known him for a long time. He's very creative. The interview was fun, so I think you'll really enjoy this. So here's Zane. Zane, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me. I'm here.
You are here, and I appreciate that. So you are, how do you describe yourself? I know you're a filmmaker. I know you're a writer. What else do you do?
I direct. I produce. I love marketing. And I watch a lot of TV as well.
Do you? I talked to Jesse Hutchins the other day. He said he watches 2 movies a day. Now, is that crazy or what?
I don't know. I watch a lot. So, like, to me, that's a small amount.
Really? You watch more than that?
Yeah, I mean, I watch films and TV while I'm even at work. I binge watch a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. Like, what's your current favorite to watch?
Interview with the Vampire, 2022.
How many times have you seen it?
Too many. At least 15,
Really?
maybe.
So that kind of brings me to the movie Max that we were talking about before we started talking, right? Is that sort of what was your inspiration for that?
Well, no. But no. Originally, Max is more based off Wanda and
Wanda?
Wanda Maximoff,
Okay. You
Scarlet
lost me there.
Witch.
I thought you were talking about I think it was Wanda. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he smells some boot. You know what I'm talking about?
He smells a boot.
Yeah, it's really kind of weird. Okay, forget it. Maybe I'll cut that part. So that's the project. You work on seems like 10 projects at one time. Is that true?
Yeah, it can be. I write a lot, so then we kind of throw them all out at once. But I'm really good at multitasking, so I can turn off my brain for one storyline to focus on another, and do the same thing for another storyline, and then do the same thing for another film, and the same thing for marketing another film, because I know they're 2 different things and 2 different entities and how they should be marketed and how they should look.
Okay, when you say marketing, what do you mean?
Like posters, trailers, teasers, cast photos, cast releases, stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. So usually when I'm writing, I'm also thinking about how to promote it. Like for Passengers, whenever I was writing it, I was like, well, these people have to fall out the sky. That'd be really cool if they're falling out the sky in the poster, and then they're surrounded by the woods that's in the poster.
Okay, so when are we going to see that poster? I hear the photographer that did that. It's really cool.
Michael, you did the photography, and it came out really nice in May. So we're releasing the poster in May.
Okay, and you just released the
poster for the Aerodyne Forever, which you also took photos for.
Yeah, that was nice. It's a weird thing doing those. It's like I'm trying to figure out what you want to do, but yet I want my own input, and it's yeah.
But I think it's coming out really well.
It looked pretty good. I'm happy with it. It's fun to do too, and I like seeing these people. So it was kind of cool. Like having Jesse fall from the sky. I felt bad for them. Poor guy had to jump off my loft 12 times and fall on his back. It was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Hope he's okay.
I mean, he said he was.
Okay.
I texted him after. I was like, I'm so thankful that you did that. I hope all is well. But no, it came out really well. And yeah, I think it came out well. So
cool. So tell me a little bit about 3BT.
So 3BT was created back a year ago, and it originally stood for something else, but now it stands for 3 Brilliant Thoughts, and it's me, Charlie, and Delaney. We're all together, 3 head producers, and then we have a team of like-minded filmmakers who, want to create and be creative and help build and grow the production company into something much bigger.
So I just don't understand. It's just basically a club.
No.
I mean, okay, a production company, a company is based on profit. Okay, there's expenses. These people all get paid.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily the case here, right? I mean, this is sort of a consortium of like-minded enthusiasts.
We are a company that is very small right now. So, yes, we Our profit isn't that big. However, we are taking in money, and we are a company, but a very small company.
I didn't know that.
So whenever we have our team meetings, we're always going over funding, people to go after, how to. Whenever I say people go after, I don't mean like attack, but like
sure.
And how to get more commercial work, and then how to balance that commercial work with our work that we're doing in our films.
I didn't know you did commercial work.
Yes, we do.
Like what?
So we do, right now we're just focusing on like social media, and we'll help people with like TikToks and stuff like that, really low key stuff, because we don't want to overload ourselves. And then next year we're going to go into more and keep growing and expanding that portion of the company, while we can still figure out how to do this other stuff. I mean, we're still learning. We're all learning. But that's another thing, is that we share information. And once you become part of 3BT, you get that information. Not really get it, but like, I feel like everyone, I need to restructure that, how I said that. But we share information a lot. So like, we will constantly share information amongst each other.
Like what?
So if one of our team members goes to another set, and they learn a whole bunch of stuff while they're on that set, and the set just seems more like something that we just haven't done before, then they'll bring that back. And whenever we have our team meeting, they'll tell everyone what happened, and they'll show all these links and stuff like that. If someone figures, like we just had someone go to a grant meeting, like figure out how to write grants, and figure out how to get a grant writer and all that fun stuff, what grants to go after. And they shared all those links in our group chat, so everyone in the group could have those links and have the ability to go to those grants and get that stuff. There's some really cool thing going on in LA in May that I can't go to, but a team member put all the information for it there, the dates, how much the tickets would be, and it was like, oh, if anyone wants to go, we can split the cost, and I'll go out there. I can't go, but it does seem cool. That's like some small examples. But right now, we're only a year old. We're really young. However, I can see us being extremely large. And
how many people do you have in your group now?
Right now, I think it's 12.
Wow.
And keep in mind, whenever we first started, it was just 3 of us. But I think people can see the future. And they know that right now, yes, we are small and growing. But we have a plan, and that's something that we usually share with them to make sure that they know that we're on the right track and that we're heading in the right direction.
What is the plan?
I'm not going to tell you that.
That was one of my questions. Yeah.
We do have a plan, and I believe in it, and it's something that, I mean, I always said, even during our first feature premiere, when we premiered He Right, that we have a 4-year plan, and we're on year 2, and I think we're heading still in the right direction. It's just finding the balance, growing the team, finding the people we need in the team to make sure that we can do the things that we want to do. Because there's some stuff that we just want to do, and then we're like, we don't have that person on the team yet. We'd have to outsource. And not all the times it's not always the best for us sometimes.
What do you mean?
Like outsourcing?
That's, to me...
For me, I don't like talking to people that I don't know all the time. Like, I would have to get to know you first, and then be like, oh, yeah, no, you're great. It's fine. I'm sorry. I was just a little nervous. Which is why usually I have my earphones in, too. But I had to take them out because I didn't want them to interfere.
So you're just an introvert at heart?
I'm very introverted. Extremely.
Yeah, so am I.
That's probably why we like each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I like you. No.
Understood.
I do. So how did you get into this initially? How did you get into filmmaking?
So originally, like when I was probably like there's a book actually I have where
You wrote a book?
No. Oh. But there's a book where I'm like brainstorming. So probably like in 2014, maybe 2013.
You know what? Old people do that. They sit back and say, "Oh, was that 1965 or was that no? That was
I cannot remember. I think it was either 2000, maybe 2012. It might have even been before that. But I would write short stories, and my mom, she would help me edit them because my grammar was horrible.
Is your mother a teacher?
No, she's an artist. Actually, she's in real estate too. But she painted. She's an artist. She does paint stuff.
Okay.
But she was much better with the grammar, and she is much better with grammar than I am. So whenever I was right, she'd be like, "No, this is a great story. It's hard to read, but you need to fix your grammar." And then in high school, I did my senior project saying that I wanted to be a director, and they were like, "Oh, well, that's not a real career." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Then my mom was like, "No, that is a real career. You just have to figure out how to do it." So after that, I was working in AT&T, and I met this guy named Sam, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I do film, kind of." And I was like, "Oh, that's great. I'm kind of a writer." So I wrote a script for Spellbound, which was like a first web series, and we just was like, "We're gonna do this." And then my mom was like, "Well, I have a house if you guys need a location," and I said, "We do." And then so with all that in place, I was like, "Okay, let's just do this thing. Let's see how it goes." And it was actually really well. So I was like, let's just do a feature next. And then we did He Writhe, and then it just kept going and going and going. I kept meeting more people and stuff like that, which is really fun. I love meeting people and learning from them because they're really amazing.
I thought you hated people.
I love learning from people and meeting people.
Oh, okay.
But don't put me like in a large room of people and then being like, "These are all the people who know you and they all want to talk to you right now." And I'm like, "No, don't do that. Don't do that." But yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, is your favorite part the writing part?
I would say yes. Yeah, because I can really do what I want.
Do you like writing feature or short?
Either.
Which is easier?
Lately, probably a feature is a lot easier.
Really? Why is that, do you think?
Because I can do what I want with the characters, and I can take them where I want to go. I don't feel like I need to stop it at a certain point. So I can really just kind of keep going and keep writing and until I feel like the story's done.
So are you the kind of writer, the Stephen King writer, where you start with just sort of a concept and then it goes where it wants to go? Or do you know where it's going to go and then you plot it to get there?
I usually make a trailer in my head.
A trailer?
Yeah, like how I would advertise it. And then I'm like, okay, well, who's the characters? And then I'll put the characters, and then I'll have a conversation with those characters, and then I'll start writing.
Give me an example, like off the top of your head, just something you haven't thought of yet. Like
a new story?
Yeah. Like something that's percolating in the back of your head right now that just kind of develop it. Don't give away any secrets or anything, but.
So I keep having this idea of like a woman in like the 1950s who is annoyed with her life and how everything's going, and she feels like she's given everything up, and one day she just decides that she's going to burn her entire city down, but like the whole town. She's just going to burn the suburbs down. And like how she plans it and how she executes this idea of, if I can't have what I want, you guys can't like breathe, literally. I'm going to burn this town to the ground. But I don't really know what that means. So like that is something that I've been sitting with and trying to make a trailer for in my head, like how it would go. I can see her walking. She has like a white dress on and these red heels, and she's walking around and she's looking at this neighborhood and she's seeing like kids playing and mom's doing what moms do and father's waving, and she's just getting so pissed off.
She's jealous.
No, she's not jealous of them. I would say she's more jealous of, I don't think she's jealous at all. I think she's annoyed. Like she feels like she's living in like the Matrix. Everyone's doing the exact same thing every single day, and she needs to break this. And she needs to see if it's real, if this life that she's living is actually real, and what is the opposite of life if not death. So she can bring a multitude of deaths to her life, and she can see if that will change anything, if that will give her some feeling. But I don't know who she is or know what the film's called or anything like that. I don't even know if it is a film. But I think that's a really crazy idea.
I think I'm worried about you. That's a pretty dark way to look at things. But I mean, it's just fiction. We know it's fiction.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
it is.
You didn't. Okay, forget it. So, what's the favorite thing you've done so far?
He-Raith.
Really? What was so great about that? What made that special?
I think the fact that it was I loved the acting in it. I loved the way it looked. I really liked the dance scene. I just like the fact that it came together in general. We were able to show it and have people like it. I just really enjoyed that film.
Yeah, that was fun to work on. I like how Jack got all burnt up that one day.
Everyone did.
I didn't.
I'm sorry. Oh, well, you're lucky. You're lucky. Marlo also, like, she had to go through some stuff, and yeah, making that was a learning process.
Marlo is mostly a in front or behind the camera kind of person, or a little bit of both.
Both. We work really well together. I enjoy working with her,
Yeah.
like a lot. So like we did originally when we met, her, Charlie, Fred, and Lydia had all broken into a house broken into my house pretty much, and I was just really confused by that. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a camera person." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's great." But then we all lost an actress, and this was for Odium. And then she was like, "Why? I act too." And we were like, "Well, can you then? Can you take on this role real quick?"
Was that the 48?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I remember that performance. As a matter of fact, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know who she was. I saw the 48, and I was so impressed with her performance that I texted her, like I messaged her on Facebook, like being blind, and said, "Hey, I thought you did a great job." And then, like, she replied, "Okay, thanks. It was real nice of you." But then when we were doing the shootout with Jack in the field there, getting all burnt, that's when I realized, like, oh, you're her. Yeah, because I was walking down that 300-yard path.
Yeah.
To there, and I said, "That was you. I love that performance." And it was like, that was kind of funny because she's real shy too. I mean,
Yes, which is why usually it sounds like we're whispering to each other, or we're just talking. And she can tell me if something doesn't sound right, which I like. Like if I'm writing something, and I'd be like, "Okay, Marlo, what do you think about that?" And she'd be like, "Zane, that doesn't make any sense yet." And I'm like, "Okay, good. That sounds great. All right, I'm going to go back. Give me a second. What about now?" She's like, "Okay, let me add this, this, and this." And this is how we started writing together too. Because after that we wrote Purple together, and then we wrote One of Us is Lying, One of Us is Dying together, and then she's helping me direct Max. But yeah, she's usually both. She can do both. She can be in front or behind.
So Delaney's getting more behind the camera now.
Yes, and Delaney helped me write Max. But Delaney is also now a head producer. She had taken over for someone who was there before. But she's a really good addition, and she can also she directed Lore 2, and then she helped me write Max, but she can also do both. She can pull off both, going back and forth.
Yeah, she's talented. Seemed like the hardest job to me, and the job that I would like least out of all these jobs is producer. Like coordinating locations and all that stuff. It's like...
It's also kind of fun.
Really?
I think so.
I've talked to a couple of people that kind of like it, but I don't get it. It would be my worst nightmare.
No.
I would hate it.
It's like to me, it's like you're seeing the film coming together. You're seeing the locations. You're getting to talk to people, and you lock things down. You're seeing things come to life.
Yeah, but it has to be frustrating because, especially if in the indie film world, you don't have any money to secure things. Like people can back out on you. People can change at the last minute. Do you find that happening to you?
No, because I don't will it to happen. Take that out.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't reserve, like, I just worked on a shoot with a guy, and he, we rented a hotel room for 3 days. Mm-hmm. That's a hit in the budget, for an indie film crew. And it's like, without that that location secured like that or the people secured like that, you're at just the whim of, the fates. I don't
I
know.
guess.
Just seems like it to me. Okay, so if you had, like, what would be your dream project?
I have a few, but I would love to do a web series of Carrie, like a big Netflix level budget for Carrie, and have it be 8 episodes.
You mean the
Stephen King's Carrie.
Okay.
Yeah, like, and have it be the last episode is like just the prom scene itself, and I mean like just pour CGI and craziness into that episode where she's just really losing her mind. Um, I love Carrie.
That
And
was one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. I could tell you, like, I don't have a great memory for way back, but I saw that in the theaters, and I remember exactly that last scene, and it was like scared the shit out of me.
I love them, all of them. There's Carrie, Carrie 1990, Carrie 1976. There's Carrie the Revenge, which is like 2000.
Really? I didn't know all this.
And then there's Carrie 2002. And there's Carrie 2013.
What's your favorite movie? Not yours, but anything. Like if you had to pick one movie, you're stuck on a desert island.
Titanic.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What is it that you like about that?
That it took, I think James Cameron gave us like, what, 2 hours to fall in love with these two characters, and then he took one away. That's heartbreaking.
It has to end like that.
Jack could
or they kiss and
Jack could have been on that thing. He could have survived. He could have got on there. And I saw that like he had like James Cameron had posted some video of him like doing like a test to see if Jack could actually live, and he was like, "See, Jack can't live." And I was like, "James, I wasn't in that room. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't know what no. Put them in the ocean, and have them get on there, and Jack could have been on there. And if I ever see James Cameron on the red carpet or anywhere in general, I'm gonna tell him that Jack could have survived. You know it. I know it. The world knows it.
Why don't you do like your own version
Of Titanic?
Yeah,
No, I'm not touching that.
that would be tough.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Where do you come up with ideas in general? I mean, it's like it's hard to put your finger on it, I'm sure, but like, is there a certain like brand of weed you smoke to come up with all this, or what?
No, I usually just talk to characters, or I really just think of trailers.
You talk to characters. Who's a character?
So like since we were talking about Max, like if I wanted to talk to Max, I would like sit down, or not really sit. I would just walk around with like music in my ears, and I would act like I'm having a conversation with him, and what he would say and how he would want the story to progress and stuff like that. But then I'll turn around and I'll have a conversation with Eve or just characters in general, like film characters.
Not human beings, but just
They're characters.
just play people in your brain.
Yes,
Okay.
the best way, especially when I'm writing. Like I'll stand up and I'll start having conversations as the characters
Do you do this out loud, or is it all in your head?
out loud, but in my room, so no one ever sees me.
Okay.
And then whenever I'm writing with someone else, it's hard because I have to like not do that because then it looks creepy. So like I was writing with PJ, and every time I write with him, I'm drawing blanks because like I can't get up and walk around and talk it out.
What did you write with PJ?
We wrote a feature together called Unbroken. That is going to be really cool.
Are you scheduled to do that, or not yet?
Not yet. We're doing some other stuff right now with it, mainly with the script. I don't want to say too much because I don't want PJ to come for me. Like,
You got to watch PJ.
yeah.
PJ, it's funny. I've worked with PJ a few times now, and like when I first met him, he comes off as this jolly guy, ha ha ha. But he knows his shit.
He
Like,
does.
big
He's
time.
very smart. And every time we get together, I feel like I'm learning something new. And I'm always like, oh, that does make sense actually.
I agree.
Oh yeah, that is right. I don't know anything yet. So you're right.
I agree. He just messaged me a few days ago and said that, like, I had contacted him, and I'm kind of bragging when I say this because But I contacted him and said, because he's in charge of the 48, I said, there should be an award for lighting.
Yeah.
Because it's like a big part of filmmaking, and I think it's one of those parts of filmmaking that get neglected.
Like stunts.
Yeah, and because it gets neglected, people, especially newbies in the industry, they don't realize how important it is. And they make these films, and to get to that next level, I think you have to have decent lighting. And I said, I think there should be an award for lighting. So, he texted me back and said, I got a company to donate $1,500 for the winner of the best lighting award at the next 48. It's like in rentals or something, but it's like, I think that's a nice step forward for the industry. I mean, we should do stunts next.
I agree.
No, I don't know. It's like, I guess, since I'm into lighting, I think it's important.
Yes.
And when I see a movie, or I see, and I can appreciate good everything, but I have a soft spot in my heart for lighting and for sound. Like when I hear really good sound, like most people, you got sound or you don't got sound kind of thing. It's like you notice when it's bad. You don't really notice all that often when it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a sound guy and you hear really good lighting, and a lot of times, or hear good lighting, if you hear good sound, you realize that like a lot of it's post too. It's like you can tweak the levels, not the levels, but the tone of what's coming in. You can use, what's it called? Oh boy, I'm an idiot. But you can really manipulate it, or just the right sound level is important. Like, for example, if it's supposed to be a whisper, then it should be a whisper. Or if it's, me hearing that sound that's 20 feet away, it has to sound distant. It can't sound like it's like if you take the audio from the lav with that guy 20 feet away, there's a dissonance. There's just doesn't sound what it's supposed to be. So, I mean, there's an art to that, but that's more post-production. But I thought it was weird in the 48. There's actually 2 awards for editing. I mean, there's the actual editing award, and then there's the sound design. That's pretty much totally an editing job. I mean, you get that in the 48 because you get that in the post, and they add that. But okay, I'm done with my rant. So if you could be a full-time professional filmmaker, that's what you'd do for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your current job, whatever you do, it's a stepping stone to this production company.
Definitely.
So commercial projects, I don't know of too many people that do commercial projects that are in this niche. Mm-hmm. The filmmakers, the weekend filmmaker, weekend warrior filmmaker, they tend to be like, they do other things during the week and they do this on the weekends. So do you think it's a different mindset to do commercial stuff than this sort of fiction on the side?
I don't think so.
You think it's the same
I think
thing?
they come hand in hand. I think they come hand in hand. I think you have to be able to do both. You don't have to be able to do both, but I think you can do both and should sometimes.
Have you ever thought about acting in any of your stuff?
No.
No cameos? You don't want to do cameos?
No.
No?
No.
No. So tell me about some of your projects. Like what's the most memorable shoots you've ever been on that, for a good reason or bad reason? Did you hear the story that Iwanaq told me about? Did you hear the?
No.
Okay, that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. I'll give you a link. But anyways, you have to. You said you listened to all of them. I guess you
the Charlie's and the one that just came out yesterday.
Oh, I think there's 16 or something.
Clearly missed a lot.
But look up I'll send you a link. But John Iwanaq told me this story in the podcast, and I made its own little podcast out of it. but basically he ran into this guy and was giving him lessons on acting because he was at the shoot. He was giving him lessons on, acting and,
Yeah.
hints and stuff. And it ended up being a pretty big name. But you have to check it out. It was really fun.
Okay. I shall. I'll listen to it while I'm at work because there's nothing else really to do while I also figure out some other stuff.
Do you write at work?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. I have an app for Writer's Duet that I use.
That sounds like a good job you have then if you're able to multitask like that.
If I can't multitask at work, I can't work there.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I had to leave my other job because they were really asking me to do work. And I said I can't because I can't do that.
You can't work.
No, because I'm working on this. So, I'm here, and I'll service the customer when they come. But whenever that's done, don't ask me to be oh, now Zane, go answer the phones and go do this, because I'm gonna be I literally cannot, because I'm also writing a script.
So this explains the messages I get at 3 a.m. from you.
Yeah, because that's usually when I'm off work, and I just got done. Right now, my schedule is I'll go to work at 3. It takes me an hour to get there, so I will leave the house at 2 to get there by 3. And I work from 3 to 12, and then I leave work at 12, and I get back to the house around 1, and I go to the gym from 1 to 2, or sometimes a little later, and then I'll just start messaging people to let them know what's happening for the next day, or before, in that case, that day. Then I go to sleep, and then wake up really late around 12 or 1, and then
That's crazy. Crazy
do it
lifestyle.
all over again.
Okay, back to a memorable experience. Tell me something fun that happened to you. Or terrible that happened. I mean, I like extremes.
Here I've had a lot of just firsts. The house that we were in was really small, and we had a lot of people in it. We weren't aware that the AC might not be strong enough to accommodate that. So I mean that it was acting. People we were acting, and I was trying to tell people what was going on. But then we only had one room that circulated cold air really well, so everyone was running up there to that room to cool down, and they would run back down, but be sweating profusely, trying to give their lines. And there's a scene where 2 detectives are at the door, and they're talking to Jack, who plays Malcolm, and you can't tell in the film, but it was a struggle to just get that scene, because it was okay, can we cut because it's really hot, and I would like to stand in front of the AC, and I'm yes, you can. The AC has been on this entire time though.
Yeah, I think that happens in most filmmaking. One of the things that my wife was watching the series, I don't even know the name of it, but in the series, these people come out of a lake, they appear out of this lake, and it's as an actor, I couldn't imagine, because it looked like it was snowing out. Okay, how do these people get cold and come out of a lake like that and not be just? Brrr?
I don't even know. And you have to act like it's not. I heard this a while ago, and I have to fact check it before I say it. I can't. I'm going to say it anyways, because I feel like I'm right. But in High School Musical 2, whenever they're singing it's summertime, what time is it? Summertime. They're all outside. It is not summertime. It is the fall, and it was 40 degrees outside, and everyone's in short sleeves and in shorts, and they had to spray paint the grass green because it was not summer. It was a deep fall, and that's just not what it was looking like.
That's a downside to acting, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think so sometimes.
I was okay. The guys downstairs at the talent group, they're friends of mine. They got me into this movie because it was on my bucket list to be in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But we're outside, and my wardrobe, I'm just an actor walking by, an extra, and I was dressed a certain way, and it was not appropriate for the season. I was out there standing, froze my ass off all day, ended up getting a cold. But I would think that's typical for an actor to do.
Yeah, Charlie said that he was in some film where they had him just kind of standing outside in the cold.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what you got to do, right?
Yeah. And also the crew's out there too. It's a lot. I mean,
well, the crew can dress whatever they want to.
This is true.
Actually, I did a shoot not this last winter, but the winter before, where we had a really cold snap where it was in the single digits, and we shot outside the whole time. But I was toasty. I have this blimp jacket that I wear, long underwear and stuff. I'm good. So, do you have a particular style Did you nail that down, or do you try to diversify into different things?
I try to diversify in different things. I like my stuff to look really clean. So like He Writes, I think was the closest I've gotten to what I imagine what I want my style to be. But it's not there yet. I'm not clean and sharp enough yet for people to see exactly what I want my style to be.
What does clean mean?
Like Interview with a Vampire, 2022. That is clean. That is precise.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so it's like everything's where it needs to be. The acting is amazing. The sound is coming in just at the right time. The music is perfect. The shots are just so super crisp. You can see everything, but you can also see nothing at the same time. Like things that aren't supposed to be in the shot aren't in the shot. Things that are supposed to be in the shot are in the shot. Costuming is right. The sets are perfect. Like that is clean, and that is what I like. Watching that show, which is why I watched it so many times, because everything was on point. Like there's a moment where, because it's a show, so they don't have the budget sometimes. There's a ways to get around that. So they have a fight in episode 5, which I always talk about, but they didn't have the budget to show the fight between two super powerful vampires. And it's supposed to be about domestic violence. So one vampire is pretty much just getting beat up throughout the episode. So the way they got around that was to tell the story of that whole episode through the eyes of their daughter. And their daughter didn't want to see the fight. But she can hear it, which actually made it so much worse, because she's hearing her dad's get into this horrible fight, and the house is like falling apart and things are breaking.
Cheaper to produce too. Cheaper to produce.
Yeah, but things are breaking and she's running around, but then there's this really horrible, like, sad part, because they can do telepathy, like they can talk to each other, and the Louis, who's getting abused throughout the entire series, is telling her that everything is fine. But if you listen really well, like you turn the volume all the way up, and I listen to my headphones in, you can hear Louis getting beat up while he's telling her, no, everything's fine, we're good, the fighting's over. It's just so horrible and insane and sad. Then after that, Lestat tries to kill him, and then all that fun stuff happens.
Sometimes not showing something, but just indicating it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a real art in itself, I think.
It is, and they did it so perfectly, because you get glimpses of what's happening, but you never really see it.
Do you take ideas like that and try to apply them to your films?
I wouldn't say no. I like the idea of the feeling I get. So I think if anything, I try to apply that feeling. But like Titanic, I love because of the feeling I got when Jack died. I love that film. I love Interview with a Vampire 2022 because of the feeling I got watching these two people fall in love and then turning out that it's not the best thing for either of them.
Yeah, but as a filmmaker and a writer, don't you ask yourself why that happened, why you got that feeling, how you got that feeling, and how can I take that and use it yourself or myself? You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I love this film. Mm-hmm. Why do I love it? You ask yourself that, and then you try to break it down and you try to learn something from it that you can use in your film.
Yes, I do break it down. Like I watched Interview with the Vampire a lot. Like that's actually my obsession right now. But my obsessions change. But it's more like, I guess I agree with you saying that, trying to see why it makes me feel that way. But also I just enjoy watching it. Like I don't really, whenever I watch something.
You're a filmmaker. You want to learn so you can be better.
I learn, yes, but I don't learn from watching. I'm a kinesthetic learner. I have to do it. So like, even though I'm watching it, I can't take anything from it. And now if I was to see how they pull stuff off and see like behind the scenes stuff, it would be easier to understand how they did that and how they pulled it off. But I would have to be on a set. I would have to be on that set for me to be like, oh, this is how you guys did that. And then I have to be in the writer's room to be like, oh, this is how you guys did that. So what I usually do is I'll watch behind the scenes stuff, but I can't find any behind the scenes stuff for Interview with the Vampire. But I could find it a lot for WandaVision, which I also love because I love Wanda. It's like I was able to see how they had their own wires and how they were able to do these effects and stuff like that, which I would like to do. But then I would have to go do that. Like I would have to literally take that and do it.
I'm not talking. I think we're on the wrong page. Like I'm talking about, okay, I love how this made me feel.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about it that made me feel that way? And how can I do something similar? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I feel anxious and it's because he was deceived and, you know, he was apprehensive, blah, 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 blah. How can I kind of steal that writing technique? I don't know. Maybe I can't explain it right.
I kind of get what you're saying.
But I mean, isn't that what writers do? I mean, it's like, you know, just the whole idea of not showing, but sort of insinuating that he's getting beat up, maybe through audio, you know, he's like, you hear, you know, whatever. So there's that, there's like, but, you know, listening, not showing sometimes or whatever. That's just one technique of many you can use. I guess I can't explain.
I will say that if I could use it, it would be cool. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Maybe that's also why that scene like stuck out to me. And I'm like, well, clearly they probably didn't have the budget to show that fight because like they're flying around the house literally. But it's also like that's how I think another cool thing is that we kind of don't have a whole big budget. So that's something that I would probably have to figure out is how would we go around that if you have this big fight or something like that.
Things like that. See, things like that are not big budget. I'm just talking about take a concept and apply it. Well, there's something, this brings up an idea that was like in the back of my mind for a while. I'm a photographer, so I'm a very visual person, and I watch filmmakers, you know, cameramen setting up a composition, and sometimes it's like they just throw it up, they hit the record button, and it's like, okay, this is a 2-shot, but they don't give a whole lot of thought as to the specific composition. Like, I think that's one of the big weaknesses in filmmaking that I've seen. It's like, I almost want to stop and ask them before they hit the record button, like this one question: is that the best you can fucking do?
Damn.
I mean, it's insulting, but it's not insulting. It's like, I ask myself that all the time. Before you shoot, okay, it's like, okay, what's in here that shouldn't be in here? What's in here that needs to be in here? What's not in here that has to be in here? Is there leading lines? Is, you know, the lighting right? And all that. And it's like, is this the best I can do? And I think every cameraman needs to stop with every shot. And I know a lot of it's budget, because sometimes, okay, let's get this done. We got to get 3 more shots before, you know, the pizza gets here or whatever. And it's like, but I don't know. I just think, and I've said this in other podcasts, I just think we should slow down. Let's not do a feature. Let's do a scene that is awesome. Like, everything is perfect. Like, I think that's the only way you're going to get discovered as a filmmaker, is to make something unique and perfect. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. It's just that we rush so many things, and it's like, you know, you look at our films and you say, oh, is the lighting okay? Yeah, it's okay. You know, is the acting? Yeah, it's okay. You know, it's like composition. Is it okay? And it's like everything's just okay. And I don't think that's ever going to add up to fame and fortune for anybody. That's just my pet peeve. I thought I'd get that off my chest. Thank you. Sorry. But
I think that, at least for me, I would have to, I think there's learning involved with that. I don't know. I think you have to have moments where it's okay to get to perfect. I think if you take your time and you wait for perfect, that you would never do anything. And I think that if you take your time and you go through the okays, you'll get to okay, to good, to great,
I totally agree
perfect.
with you. But
I think that if you wait and you say, well, the conditions aren't right and I can't do it now, it's not going to be perfect, and I can't do it now, that you're so scared of something being okay that you just won't do it.
I agree with you. That's a great point. But having said that, you need to do the best you can in that moment. Like you need to, okay, this is something I won't get into that, but this is something where you have to realize that this is important and you have to pay attention to it and you have to do a good job at it. Are you limited by things? We're all limited. Everybody's limited by things. And you have to realize that. But you have to understand that you need to do the best job you can at this opportunity in this moment right now. Yes, you can be frozen. It can be, what's it called? I forget what it's called, but it's basically you're so frozen by indecision that you don't do anything. You can't have that. That's of course. What is it?
Procrastination?
It's not procrastination.
Okay.
It's my brain fluking out. But it's basically paralysis by analysis. That's what I was thinking of. It's like, okay, you can not do anything. And a lot of marketing is like that for a lot of people in my industry. It's like, okay, I want to do this really cool thing for marketing, but I can't get it perfect, so I won't do it, kind of thing. But when you're doing the filming, okay, it's like, don't slap that camera up and hit the button. Like, look at it, see what the opportunities are. Is this like, so many camera angles are decided by the height of a person's tripod. That's not good. That's like, you lower it 2 inches and all of a sudden you got this leading line coming in from the right. It looks like it's awesome, but like, nah, this is good. That stuff drives me crazy.
I agree. I think, however, that someone's best in the moment is someone else's okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yeah.
But I also think that without someone to say, you cannot just throw your camera up and hit record, and that's not okay. Then they can be like, oh, well, what do you mean? What else can I do? I think it needs to be more of a teaching kind of, because not everyone can even afford film school, and not everyone really wants to go to film school, and some people don't really understand what's happening or what's the next steps are. They have this passion and this thought, which is a lot of why we even created 3BT, because I don't really want someone to just say, oh, that shot doesn't look good, and then walk away. I want someone to say, that shot doesn't look good, because if you would have just, brought the camera down, turned to the left, if you would have, turned up the lighting right here, have you ever heard of this or this and this and this? That I'll take in, because you're giving me that critique and I understand why, but now you're telling me why and how to fix that. So next time we do something, it's going to be better, and it's going to grow until it's perfect. I think that if you see someone who's not doing something correctly or doing something wrong, especially if you can see that they're passionate and they have the ability to do it right and they're willing to do it right, why not just tell them exactly what to do? And that's what I especially whenever, because my biggest thing is writing. I know how to write, and I'm always learning new things about writing. I'm still probably, I think I'm on the good portion where I'm learning more and more stuff. But I'm not perfect. I don't think I'll ever be a perfect writer.
Nobody is.
Yeah, but if someone brings me a script and it's not formatted correctly, that's the first thing I tell them is that it's not formatted correctly, but this is how you format it. And if you want, I can help you format it, and then you can send it back to me, and I can read it then, and then we can just go from there. But I always say that. And then there's a few people even in our group who are just now starting to write, and I'll be like, all right, well, this is how it's supposed to be formatted, this is how it's supposed to read, and then I'll send them links to other scripts that they can read if that helps them figure out how it's supposed to format, how it's supposed to flow, how it's supposed to sound, how it's supposed to read, how it's supposed to introduce characters, stuff like that. But
I guess we're talking about different levels, because like formatting, that's, you can screw formatting like you can screw up syntax. It's like, but that's not where the creative part comes in. That's almost like learning to speak and then writing a award-winning novel, or on two different levels. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have it formatted. That has to be a given.
But if you don't know how to format, and your format is off top, some people won't even look at it to tell you that this is not formatted correctly. They just won't tell you.
That's true.
So that's why, and it seems small, But for some people, it's like, this isn't formatted correctly. Like 14 people read it and they say they loved it. Well, those 14 people must have not known either, or they just were telling you what you needed to hear. And I am telling you that it's not formatted correctly. And if you're just sending this to someone else who was like bigger, someone who knows what they're doing much more, they're just going to look at it too. They're not going to respond to you because they're going to think you're playing around or something.
Right.
So
Okay.
at least start with the format and then go from there.
Right. It's just, I don't know.
I think the same thing can be done with the camera thing. Like, whenever I'm directing with Marlo knows more about cameras than I do. So usually I'll be like, I know what I want it to look like. I'm very aware of what I want it to look like. And then she can usually process that to someone else. And then we can look at it together and be like, it looks basic. Can we change it somehow to make it look better? And then we can keep playing with it and until we get the shot that we like, that looks perfect in our eyes, that is not as basic, not different, not that is different and not just like standard. So, but yeah, like I said, we're all learning. But I think
So where do you go to learn?
I usually find stuff like lately. PJ has been telling me a lot of stuff. Before that, I went to a script website called Script Slug, and that's how I learned how to format because I didn't know how to, and I knew my stuff just was not right. And my mom can help me with like the grammar, and she would proofread stuff when I was younger. But I just didn't know how to format. So like I'd be like, I know the story is good, but that doesn't look right. So I went to Script Slug, which is a place where you can go to read scripts, and
All the big ones.
you can choose what scripts you want to read too. Do you want to read an Emmy-nominated script, an Oscar-winning script, a script for a TV show?
Does it cost anything?
No, it's free.
Cool.
Yeah, the Script Slug is amazing. So I would go in there and I would look at a script. So like the first script I started to read was John Wick, and then I realized I was reading an old script from John Wick. I've never even seen John Wick.
I think the whole script is people die. That's okay.
Yeah.
The end.
I've never seen John Wick. I've never seen a lot of things.
Number 4 is just out.
I know. Charlie wants to see that, and I'm like, oh, that's great. But John Wick was written for someone else. If you read the original script, you can find that out. Because the way that they introduced John Wick, even the way the movie starts, the whole script was just different.
You mean it was supposed to be another main actor?
Mm-hmm. He was supposed to be much older, and
Oh,
that's how
really?
they describe him, as a really old guy. And it starts different. Because I know how the original John Wick starts, but I'm like, this isn't. I was reading it and I was like, this isn't how John Wick starts. This is different. So sometimes you can get like the current draft or the draft that made it to the studio, or you can get the draft that's like underneath that or a few drafts before.
Oh, wow.
So then you can read that and you can see, oh man, this script went through a whole bunch of changes before it got to film. But sometimes like a casting can change that. Like whenever they casted Keanu Reeves, that changed the whole script.
Oh, it's like The Reacher. Have you ever read any of the Reacher stuff?
No.
Jack Reacher?
Mm.
See, they have a series of books out, and I think I've read pretty much all of them.
I know they keep like changing. I know the show's out and they keep like trying to boot that thing into a show or a movie.
Right. Well, it's a
franchise.
pretty good series, but it's all based on some guy that's 6'4". Okay, and that's a big part of the character. He goes and just like balls people over, where you get a little 5'6" actor or whatever.
Wasn't Tom Cruise? Wasn't Tom
Yeah,
Cruise?
Tom Cruise was the guy.
I was like,
You have to like rewrite it.
yeah.
But anyways. So what are some of the things you've learned recently about filmmaking? Like one of your latest revelations. Every once in a while I'll come up with something that said, shit, I thought I should have known that. And I'm just now realizing it. And it's like you come to realize that that's an important thing to know, and you're just now learning it, and it's worth sharing.
Yeah. That's a great question. Thank you for asking it. I don't know. I feel like I'm always learning stuff in general. But like lately, Man. Maybe like the only thing that's coming to mind is that I write like a novel sometimes. Like I write my scripts like I'm writing a book, and I guess you're not always supposed to do that. I don't know, but like, um,
What's the difference between how you would write a novel and how you'd write a screenplay?
I describe things too much. Like I write like a director. I write like a director, and I'm not always directing it.
Yeah, sometimes I didn't understand that. I don't know all that much about screenwriting, but sometimes I read a screenplay and they're, and I guess it's hints to the actors or something, but they're writing something that isn't visual, that you can't see.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, she had a bad day and she's doing this. It's like, well, how do you know she had a bad day? You know, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
It's
Is that what you're talking about?
no. It's more like like if you were to read a book, like that, like it would be like I'm trying to think for the script that I was writing because PJ was just like going through it and he was like, "You're writing like a." He kept telling me you're writing like a director. Or you're writing like a novel. Oh, and taking things out. But maybe lighting as well. I've learned a lot about lighting, especially on Hiraeth. Because with Spellbound, which the first thing we didn't really use lighting, like at all. So I'm gonna go with lighting instead because it's hard for me to explain without like giving you a scene of how the different writing is. Like one's more straightforward versus one I'm spending like a good paragraph explaining every little detail. Like he sat down on a black table with a white cup in front of him. The microphone was close, but not too close. He smiled slowly and then looked over. Like things like that. But it's like, well, you don't need to say all that. You can just say that he sat down with a white cup in front of him, and then when you get on set, tell him to smile and look over there. And it's like, oh, I guess you're right. Especially if you're directing it. But then there's a difference between I don't see. Let's just go with lighting.
Okay, tell me what you've learned recently about lighting.
So, I've learned that I'm not the best at it, and that other people are really good, and that they can help me. So, usually, what I'll do is I've been working with Roger, who's really amazing, and I just be like, Roger, can you do this crazy lighting where like it's bright outside but not really bright outside, and have it shining through the inside, but also have like a party inside, and he can pull that off, and then I'd be like, this is exactly what I was talking about. Yes, this looks amazing. But also figure out how long that's going to take.
Like, yeah,
Like,
that's a tough part.
yeah. So with Hiraeth, we weren't aware of that. How long it would take to set up shots. Like there were moments where the cast would be just like sitting there for hours, and they're like, "Are you almost ready?" And we're like, "No, we're not even almost ready." But it came out really well. So
yeah, Roger is a blessing to this community.
he's amazing
because he's willing to put in a whole lot of time that is just, and it's not thankless, but it's close to thankless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like people just don't realize how important lighting is. They just take it for granted.
Yeah.
It's sort of like sound too, but yeah, I think I'd like to get Roger in here and talk to him about it.
Oh yeah, he'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would be interesting. He's an interesting character.
Yes, he is.
I like Roger. So, what are your next couple of projects, and then I'll let you get to work.
We have My Day with Parker with Michelle Doe, who is amazing. We just have to film one more scene with that, and then it's done. And then Passengers is filming next month, and then we have Bachelorette, and then Max, and then our 48-hour film that we're doing this year too. And then To the Man I Couldn't Love, The Imitation of Art.
Holy
I
crap.
feel like I'm forgetting one more thing, but at the same time, I don't think I have. Then we have a few other stuff that is written, but we're not going to do anything with yet because we don't have the time right now.
Really? So this last film that I worked on of yours, you weren't there. What
The
was
Art
it?
of Dying Forever. Did I even say that?
Yeah. What was about that? How come you weren't there?
I'd work.
Oh,
And yeah, I haven't really been available.
are you intentionally trying to stay away and delegate sort of to the rest of the team some of this stuff?
Not intentionally, no.
Okay.
Um,
We miss you on set.
I
We talk about you behind your back, and it's not as much fun.
Everyone would. But no, I just, it's just finding time to be like, even with some text messages, I'll miss them. And then I'm like, I'm sorry. I respond to this message. I just didn't actually respond to this message. So that's why I'm responding 4 hours later.
I got you.
But yeah, Art Dying Forever, that's going to be cool. But I should be on the next set for Bachelorette or for Max, because I'm directing. I have to be there.
Oh, you are directing.
Yeah, Marlo and I are directing Bachelorette. Nope, Marlo and I are directing Max. Marlo is directing Bachelorette. And then Christina Chicas is directing Passengers. I think that's it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if someone should need to reach you for whatever reason, say they have a great idea, a great script you can like help them out with, how do they reach you?
They can start a small fire and speak into it, my name, and I will appear.
Okay.
No.
No, we'll leave it at that. No, tell us how they can reach you. Do you guys have a website?
We do. We have 3bt.com,
Oh,
3btproductions.com. We're also on Instagram under the same name, believe it or not, 3BT Productions. That's 3BT because sometimes like the B and the T kind of get mixed together. It stands for 3 Brilliant Tops. Nope, 3 Brilliant Thoughts. I combined the old and the new. But then me, I'm also on everything as just Zane Allen. You can find me on Facebook as Zane Allen and Instagram and Zane Allen. You can Google Zane Allen. You can shout into the sky Zane Allen and I will just appear. Like I said, that small fire, I will also appear there. If you cry and look into a mirror and say Zane Allen 17 times, I will not appear. If you say it 18 times, I will appear. And if you're driving down the road and you sing Zane Allen, I will also appear in your passenger seat.
I can't wait to try that on the way home today. Okay, Zane, thank you very much for coming in. I do appreciate it.
Fantastic.
And I'll see you on one of your sets in the future.
Yes, you will.
Zane Allen, Zane Allen, Zane Allen, Zane Allen, Zane Allen.